So I was pulling on some cards and this came out, and it's number 26. It says, where you need to be. Acknowledge how you are feeling. Have faith the universe will take care of a current concern by providing the best possible outcome for all involved. And I was pulling some cards. I'm just going to lay that on my cat. I was pulling some cards for myself. Well, a card for myself. And a lot of it has to do with, I just started using TikTok. I have been avoiding TikTok like the freaking plague because it's just a bunch of like witch talk wars, witch talk spiritual warfare. I know that stuff goes on YouTube as well, probably even on Instagram. But I had been avoiding TikTok for a long time because of that. But now I've been getting on there and I'm just like, whatever. I don't even care anymore. But the reason why I was avoiding it is because I felt like too many people was engaging in spiritual warfare and just attacking people over stupid reasons, petty reasons, jealousy reasons. Oh, I'm the best witch or the better witch or the best warlock or the better, and just it's just so tit for tat and just annoying, right? But eventually I just like stood my ground and was like, you know what? I'm going to start going live on TikTok. So that's why you guys have seen me do, I think, like 3 or 4 live streams over there at this point. And I'm not going to let people's ego like deter me away from what I need to be doing or what I want to be doing. And what I have seen a lot is like people that just fight constantly with other people because they have this unchecked ego, this obsession with dominance. And this behavior and energy usually feeds off of chaos. These social media magic wars, and you'll see people threatening specific other people on social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. And the best thing to do is go to your spirit team in silence. And I'm not going to act like I'm perfect, because when my channel kept getting messed with over and over again, I mean, banned for a week here and there, having my channel completely deleted, but then luckily, all of us banding together, we were able to bring the channel back. And then just like the constant harassment, targeting of the channel, it would get really annoying. And I've even done things publicly, like, whoever's doing this to me, may it go back and return to sender, right? But honestly, the best thing that you can do is do that in silence, to not post about it, just to do it silently, okay? That could be a little witch tip for some people out there on social media. I don't know. But my point is like, I'm not perfect myself. I've also have to learn from my mistakes as well. But it's understandable, like when you're actually getting messed with consistently, persistently for like 6 months straight, etc. It's understandable why me or maybe even other people do it, because they're tired of being harassed or targeted. But the thing is the reason why I was avoiding TikTok is because there's so many people just going tit for tat. There's so many people, there's witches trying to compete with other witches. They're doing all this crazy stuff so that they can be the only one or the best one or this and that. And it's the biggest, it's like a freaking ego festival. And it's just, that turned me off completely. But I'm not going to allow that to, again, deter me from what I need to be. Because where you need to be at, the universe is going to have your back and protect you where you actually need to be at. But again, if someone is attacking you and you need to do a return to sender or something else, whatever, my best advice is to do it silently, privately. Don't post about it. And then there's some people that simply just do these things, like they'll beef with other witches or warlocks or practitioners out of it's like an ego type of warfare, and it comes off very performance based, and it's often fueled by insecurity. And there's a lot of these spirits, they don't like being used as ego weapons. Whatever spirits they're working with, they don't want to be used to fuel your ego or to be weapons of your ego. It can be very disrespectful. This is what I've witnessed. This is what I've seen. I've been a witch 36 years, so take it. You don't have to take my advice or anything. I'm just like expressing things I've noticed, things I've analyzed, and how I'm not going to allow that kind of stuff to hold me back. And if there's anyone that resonates with this, whatever, I hope that you don't allow people with huge egos that are overly competitive, that target you. I hope that you don't allow that to stop you to be where you need to be at, okay? No matter what type of work field it is. You definitely also, you need to like be very discerning with dealing with people as well. In certain work fields, you've got to have a certain level of discernment with dealing with certain people. Because I'm just going to use the spiritual community as an example, where there's a lot of power dynamics, there's a lot of egos. I stay away from people that have dark circles around their eyes constantly. And I don't mean dark circles around their eyes when it comes to, maybe they've been crying, maybe they've been stressed out, and it's like temporary dark circles, like that's one thing. But when someone has a consistent like dark circles around their eyes for like a year or 2 years or longer, like that's a red flag to me personally. This is also my own personal opinion. You're welcome to disagree with me or agree with me. I really don't care. But they say your eyes are the windows to your soul. A lot of times the reason why they have these dark circles or these just dark eyes or dark circles around their eyes is because it's literally reflecting their soul being under siege. And it's most likely the fact that there's some sort of spirits that person is working with that is getting fed up for being an ego booster for them. And their body is like having this spiritual overload because whatever spirits they're working with for an ego boost, it stores a lot of things. Now, of course, this can be caused by many other normal factors, such as exhaustion or stress or crime. But often people with dark eyes like that, they have these heavy attachments to them that is clinging to that person's aura. They're experiencing spiritual drainage. And again, this is if something's been going on with that person for like a year or two or longer. It is a sign that some sort of spirits they are working with is quite literally draining their aura, their soul. And they may think they're in control of these spirits, but they're not. It's honestly usually a sign that they're no longer in control of certain spirits. And they become a host. They become a host for a spirit to feed on. Because sometimes they'll work with spirits, energies, or entities that are not meant to be controlled. Or some of them don't necessarily mind working with a practitioner, and there's ways to control certain entities, but you can only hold that control for so long. And if you do something that is offensive to them, or they feel like you're using them to boost your ego, I notice a lot of people have really dark eyes, circles around their eyes when this happens. It's definitely a sign of spiritual drainage. And that spirit or that energy they're working with becomes a parasite. And you can physically see the toll that it's taking on a person. If this is features that they've had for a long time. I hope you like this cup. It says trying to get my shit together. I thought that was really funny. I bought that for my husband a couple of years ago. And maybe that's what some of you guys are doing. Maybe some of you are getting your shit together so that you can be where you need to be. But oftentimes, if a witch, a warlock, a practitioner, if they have a certain entity, energy, or spirit that they're working with that lashes out on them for using them in a way they don't want to be used, and they don't listen or notice the warning signs because they're too much in their ego, they got to be the best or the strongest or whatever, and they don't care about the warning signs, that's not power. That is literally being reckless and stupid. And it usually only continues to get worse for the person, whether you know what they're going through or not. So sometimes when you summon certain things and you don't do it for the right reasons or the right way, and I'm mainly talking about using them for ego, it definitely can come back and feed on you and mess with you. And at that point, when you reach that point, whether it's, you know, someone I'm talking about, or if someone resonates with this and you feel like this is a message for you, or maybe a message about someone else, or just information in general. Maybe you guys are just curious and want to know what this video is about. But when it gets to that point, you are not in control of that entity anymore that you work with. And a lot of these entities are independent, they're ancient, and they can be dangerous if they are disrespected. Or they'll start getting signs that it's around them, and they, instead of heeding the warning, they keep doing what they were doing. They may try to cleanse it out, you know, and however way they feel like they need to cleanse it out. But at the end of the day, if they don't quit doing what they're doing and how they're going about it, it's going to happen again eventually. And this isn't me trying to attack anyone or put anyone down. This is me literally preaching about responsibility. And I'm all for pretty much every single belief system out there. And I'm all for every types of witchcraft that are out there. I think it's great that we can come on here and discuss these things, talk about these things, share experiences, whether it's our own or other people we know. And it's beneficial to talk about this stuff. This is not a attack, but literally a lesson with responsibility, and not to be in this type of work field or community, whether you're a witch, a warlock, a practitioner, whether you're a client, a customer, whether you're just a silent watcher in the community. This is just trying to educate about this. And if some of you do work on social media, or if you like to post content on social media, my best advice for you, especially if you're starting out or if you feel like you need to protect your social media, I would advise making up a sigil or a ward. Even if it's something that you come up with yourself or create yourself, it doesn't have to be something from a textbook. It doesn't have to be something that some other witch or practitioner has used or drawn. It can be something that you completely come up with by yourself. And what you're going to do is you're going to want to use that sigil or that ward around you. Don't show it on camera. Do not show your protection sigil or your protection ward on camera whatsoever. You can even take a picture of it, or if you make it digitally, use that picture or that digital image as a screen, like a wallpaper on your computer, your laptop, your phone. You could use it as a wallpaper, or you could, if you print it out or if you draw it on a piece of paper, put it somewhere close to where you film, but don't put it in the camera's eye. Don't let anyone see it so that they can't manipulate what you've created. But there are some people, like, they won't heed the warnings, they won't see the signs of what's going on, and they'll keep doing what they're doing because they're addicted to their ego, they're addicted to their perceived power. And I'm not saying that they don't have power. A lot of them do have power, right? But a lot of them won't stop. They'll just keep doing what they're doing because they have to remain, they feel like they have to remain in power 24/7. And when they keep doing that, it gets to the point where that spirit or that energy, that entity, it keeps feeding off of that person. And some of these people, you know, again, if it is feeding your ego to be in spiritual warfare, a lot of times these things will be like parasites and they will feed off of you because to them it is a sign of disrespect. A lot of entities, energies, they don't mind helping. They don't mind you working with them. But when you turn it into this performance thing where it's very ego-based, it can definitely go wrong. And sometimes these people, they end up opening themselves to some form of possession where that energy becomes obsessed with them. And sometimes it will even possess that person, which explains the dark circles around the eyes. One of the things that actually influenced me to do this is I was seeing this woman, she's like a famous fashion designer. She's known to be like a witch from France, but she hangs around like a lot of celebrities and stuff, and she's married to like a famous fashion designer. I think she's like in her 70s or something, but everyone kept talking about her dark circles around her eyes, and so that's what kind of made me wanted to talk about this alongside with other things. And it's not always dark circles around your eyes either. I've seen where this can happen to people where they end up, you know how they say spiritually transmitted disease? Like sometimes tarot readers will say spiritually transmitted disease. And I know it sounds funny, but sometimes these spirits will backfire on the person if they keep doing something out of ego. And say they don't have dark circles around their eyes, right? It can manifest into an actual STD. If that person is overly sexual, if they're not protecting themselves and they're just willy-nilly banging everything in sight, it's going to form into an STD. Like that's another example as well. It's like a spiritually transmitted disease ends up turning into a sexually transmitted disease. Now, do not confuse this with someone sending something your way. Like someone can send something your way, something baneful, something tricky, and it can cause you signs and stuff in your house. Obviously, do a personal reading to find out what's going on, but this is not to confuse with being spiritually attacked, because being spiritually attacked can cause certain issues as well. But that's when you really need to learn how, like, different ways to cleanse yourself or your house or certain items or whatever. It allows you to really amp up your protection, to learn more about protection magic, reversal magic. I was actually explaining on my community post earlier about incubus spirits, and which incubus spirits can, let me go back on that post really, but a person can send an incubus your way. Now, incubus and succubus is mainly in like Europe folklore, but they also have different versions of it. Like they also have the old hag in Newfoundland. They have shadow people or jinn in the Middle East. They have different ghosts or spirits in Asia, Africa, etc. Like every like country, culture kind of has like their own version of an incubus or succubus. And people can send an incubus energy your way, and you can return that entity back onto them. If you know what you're doing with reversal magic or certain types of return to senders, you definitely can send that entity back to where it came from. You know, especially if you're someone, you don't even work with like incubus energies or other energies similar to incubus. Like some of you may not even, you don't even have to work with those energies, but you can still experience it if someone sends something like that your way. Of course, there's other people that purposely summon those kind of energies to each their own, you know. But I actually made a community post a few hours ago today explaining incubus energies and experiences, and some of you guys are actually writing comments about your own experiences in the comments. If anyone wants to go over there and read that or look at that. Now, if you guys see this video in the future, it may be, that post may be harder to find, so I apologize. But you're always welcome to ask me anything in the comments, and I can, you know, answer your questions to the best of my ability. But sometimes certain energies, certain entities that people work with, again, if they're doing something out of ego, sometimes that energy can become attached to that person, or they can turn hostile on that person. They can end up opening up a gate, a portal that they either can't close or they have a really hard time closing it. But if you're using certain entities to, it's one thing to like ask for help and work with them because you're being attacked constantly, but we really shouldn't be doing it just purely out of ego. It seems to not go well for people, and sometimes you don't even like know what that person is going through. And then a lot of times people won't tell you anything what they're going through because they don't want to look weak or something, which that kind of ties hand in hand with their ego. Like, so some of these people won't even say, oh, I'm going through this or I'm going through that, because then that'll hurt their ego. It'll make them look like, you know, they're not powerful enough or something like that. When really it's better to be honest and humble about something, in my opinion. But, ooh, my ear is ringing really, really loud. So I feel like this is definitely a message that needs to get out. I could even be talking to someone that's born on the 26th day of any month. Or someone here could be a life path 8, or born in August, or born on the 8th day of any month. Merlin over here, she's like, she just caught a monitoring spirit and she's eating it and chewing it up. So I'm pretty sure there's someone that's monitoring my channel that probably isn't gonna like what I have to say, but that's okay. And guys, you can be a very well-trained practitioner, you can be experienced, you can be very protected, and you can be well trained in this stuff, and these things can still happen if at some point you do something that is boosting your ego. Because a lot of these spirits, they don't mind working with you or helping you with a situation, with any situation. But if you're using it as like an ego boost to come off as like the fucking Wizard of Oz, the greatest, most powerful wizard in all of Oz, like it's going to backfire. And sometimes you can literally see it physically on a person, and sometimes it's invisible things. All right, like I explained, like it could even be an STD, you know, on a person, but you would never know. Or it could be a person that maybe they're not sharing their personal life with people, so you just don't know what they're going through. And sometimes, like, people will post things to inflate their ego because they're trying to plant seeds in your mindset. They're trying to plant seeds in your thoughts. They literally feed off of the seeds they are planting. So the best thing I can tell you is to either cut a person like that off, or just don't give them your energy or your thoughts, because they will feed off of that. So when you get on a platform like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, that is one of the best advice I could give someone. For a lot of you guys, there are people in the tarot community, the witchcraft community, etc., spiritual community, and they can literally sense that you have strong intuitive gifts, that your gifts are either improving or growing, or your intuition is very strong. And if there's someone that's overly competitive, they're going to attack you for that. But you can't allow that to make you feel defeated or to scare you off. Some of these people will get upset because they see you connecting with other people in a very authentic way, or maybe even in a way that is obvious it's not coming from your ego. So some of you may connect with people very authentically and very non-ego based, and then they feel threatened by that because they're used to running their platforms based off of ego. And you guys will end up triggering people's shadow side that are in their ego like that. They can quite literally feel your light challenging their ego, their shadow side. And you guys end up representing a mirror where your mirror reflects onto them, and they don't want to look at that. They don't want to reflect on that or anything, because in their eyes that makes them weak to reflect on these things. And instead of them evolving or wanting to evolve, they rather sabotage. They rather keep trying to attack you. They don't care if it is even like possessing them. They don't care. And that ends up becoming a dangerous recipe. And the reason why a lot of people work in their shadow side and they work in their ego, because they feel like they have to be the best at something. Because deep down inside, they are so scared of not being the best at something. And they can still be good at what they do. You know what I mean? But that insecurity is like screaming. It is so loud, the insecurity. And a lot of these people, like, their whole identity is built on them comparing themselves to other people and trying to control that they're like number one, or control the work environment, or whatever it is. And it comes off very jealous and very insecure. And if you're somebody who walks in authenticity, if you're somebody who's even rising in influence, you can become a target. But that doesn't mean you can't protect yourself or be educated in things so that you can keep handling situations like this better and better. So yeah, there's a lot of textbook, ego-driven people in these types of communities who are obsessed with dominance instead of growing or evolving. They're more obsessed with control. So when you are active online, whether you're in these communities or it could be a different community, you could be like an IG model, you could be in the fashion community, the video game community, it doesn't matter. You may end up, no matter what you're doing, if you're doing something especially online, where you're active online and you're growing your visibility, your voice is growing, your influence is growing, that makes you a target for jealousy. You become a threat to people who work with fear-based systems. They use power as like a hierarchy. You're going to threaten those people. And sometimes these people will send certain spirits or energies your way to either scare you or to drain you or to cause illusions for you. And I also said on my community post, one of the best things to get rid of illusion magic is your awareness. Awareness is a illusion magic killer, because once you're aware of what's going on, the illusions, they can't keep happening because you know what's going on. You're calling it for what you see, and once you see it, you know how to handle it. And so if you are in some sort of community and someone feels like you are shining more than you are used to, or you're doing well on your platforms, a lot of times we can become targets of these things. And these types of people will try to sabotage your peace. They'll try to sabotage your sleep, your energy, what's going on in your life. It'll create a lot of confusion on your path of whatever path you're on. And so I'm hoping this video can help you pinpoint certain things so that you don't get off of your path, because a lot of you need to be going where you are needed to be, like the card says. And sometimes these people will send certain things to you to either attack you or to intimidate you or to psychically drain you, and you can't allow them to take that power from you. And if you find yourself in a situation like that, obviously amp up your protection, become aware. And if you feel like you need to do reversal or return to sender, I highly recommend using mirrors for that. Because again, whoever's doing that to you, they need a mirror. Most of them won't take that opportunity to reflect. Most of them won't, because they're too much in their ego and they find reflection to be weak. But usually when you reverse or return something back, it usually definitely works. But sometimes you don't even have to do that. Sometimes the energies they work with start getting fed up because they're getting tired of playing this game of hierarchy. They're getting tired of fueling these people's egos. They end up getting disrespected by it. And I'm actually going to end this with something that I wrote here on my community board. And I wrote this because, and this is another reason why I'm making this video, because some of the pick a cards that we were doing, illusion magic kept coming out. And so I was wanting you guys to know that there is certain things you can do. You know, your awareness is protection. Once you realize someone is casting illusions or using energies that create illusion, whether it's illusion of health conditions or making you doubt yourself or others, or doubt your path, memory issues, mental fog, bad perceptions of your beauty or physical appearance, once you realize what's going on, you end up seeing through the glamour and illusion. You're not being sucked in or confused anymore once you become aware. And that stuff starts to wear off and it starts to not work anymore. That gives you the upper hand spiritually, energetically, and even emotionally. Once you're aware of what's going on, you can crush it and ground your true reality. So grounding work is very beneficial. Protective work, grounding work, reversal work, all of those things are very beneficial in a situation like this. And when you do this, you are taking your power back, and no illusion can hold under the light of someone who sees through it. Awareness is an illusion killer. So that's what I wanted to share here. Oh wow, I'm just not realizing there's other comments, so I'll check out everyone's comments. But that's the video I wanted to make. Thank you guys for hanging out with me and listening to me, if you listened to all of it all the way through. I just mainly wanted to provide this as information and inspiration for those of you that have people that have been trying to knock you off your path, whether it's through magic, whether it's through false reporting, whether it's through harassment techniques, whether it's through bullying. Magic isn't always just spells. Sometimes it's people's, them bullying you or, falsely reporting you, because that is also forms of manipulation. So if you are experiencing these things, please know that these people don't have to move you off your path. You are exactly where you need to be. All right. So I love you guys. Take care. I hope this was beneficial. I hope it was helpful. And hopefully you guys, if you have been feeling discouraged or dealing with delusions, hopefully this will help you snap the fuck out of it. So go be who you need to be. Go where you need to be going. Do what you need to be doing. Don't allow anyone to stop you, okay? Especially people that are very ego driven. Their ego is usually very, very loud. Very, very loud. And once you can spot that in people, if you know the weaknesses of a ego-driven person, it can be very easy to take care of a situation like this. So take care.